Hey guys, welcome back to normal notes and normal assignments. I just wanted to first say that I miss you guys, and Miss Clary and I are doing everything that we can to help you guys through Algebra B, so I'm hoping that you guys enjoy these notes and ask any questions that you have. So we're going to start with Chapter 11. 11.1, Day 1 is working on our measures of central tendency. So you guys have seen these very often in your math classes over the years. Our measure of center is typically looked at as our mean, median, and mode. So we're just going to write down how we find each one of these on this first slide. So our mean is where we add up all of the numbers and divide by how many numbers we have. Okay, so we're going to add everything together and then divide by the numbers. Sometimes you will see this as the average of something. So if you see mean or average, those are the same things. Okay, the second thing that we're going to talk about is our median. Our median is where we put all of the numbers in order from least to greatest. So that's our first thing. So put in order, least to greatest. And then this is the one where you guys probably remember crossing things off on the left, on the right, okay? This is the one where you find the middle. Okay, so when we find the middle, that's our median. And then our mode is something that we see the most often. So what we're looking for is the value that is repeated the most. So we're going to find the value repeated the most. Okay, so we're going to focus on those first. So example 1 says an amusement park hires students for the summer. Their hourly wages are shown in the table. Find the mean, median, and mode. So what we're going to do first in finding our mode, or our mean, is we're going to add up all of our numbers. So we're going to add all of these together. Okay, so think about these as what you could be paid if you worked at Worlds of Fun. Okay, these are all the different prices or wages, so we're going to add all of those together. So go ahead, pause the video at any time, do this in your calculator, add them together. You guys should get 77.2. That's our total. And remember, we take that total and we divide by the number of numbers that we have. So we have 8 numbers in our table. So I'm going to divide that by 8 and we get $9.65. Okay, so that's our average wage for an amusement park. Then we're going to find our median. So median, remember, is the one where we put them in order. And then we figure out what the middle is. So I'm going to put them in order least to greatest. So I've got 825. This is one where I typically cross them off as I go to make sure I get them all on here. Then I have another 825. Then I have 845. And then 865. 875. 910, 925, and then 1650. Okay, so there's my big long list. Okay, it ran into the table a little bit, but that's okay. I got them all in there, and then I'm going to start marking them off. So if I mark off one on the left, I got to mark off one on the right. Then I'll mark off one on the left, one on the right, until I find the middle. One on the left, one on the right. And it looks like I have 2. Okay, I have 2 right in the middle. So what we do is we add those together and then we divide that by 2. So when we do that, we get $8.70. Okay, so $8.70 is our median. Okay, last thing that we're going to find is our mode. So mode, remember, is the one that is most often. So anything that repeats is what we're looking at. In this one, we only have one that repeats. So that is $8.25 for the mode. That's the only one that we see in the table multiple times. Okay. The last question is just asking which measure of center best represents the data, and we want to explain. Okay, so what we think is we're going to look at all the data, so all of the numbers in the table, and we're going to figure out which one, our mean, median, or mode, do we think represents the data the best. Okay, so for me, looking at the data, I see that a lot of numbers start with an 8, so I'm probably going to look between my median and my mode and see which one of these I think best represents the center of the data. So do you think the 825 is closer to the center, or 870 is closer to the center? Which one do you think represents it the best? So I would probably pick 870. Okay, I think that represents it the best. Most of the numbers start with 8s. So if we do an explanation, I think we have 5 numbers that start with 8. Okay, and then 825 is actually the lowest number, so it's not a very good representation of the center, so that's why we pick the median. Okay, example 2, a class takes a math test and receives the following scores as percents. So all my scores are listed here, 89%, 80%, 100%, so on. Okay, so what we're looking for is to start with the mean. Okay, so what we're going to do, go ahead and pause the video if you want to here, and we're going to add all of these numbers together so that we can figure out what our mean is. So remember, that is total over the number of numbers. Okay, so your total divided by, you have 12 numbers, should get you 81, oops, not 8 point, 81.5. Okay, so our mean is 81.5. Our median, remember, we have to put all of the numbers in order. So I'm going to start with the smallest number. The smallest number I see is 49. And remember, I'm going to cross them off my original list to make sure that I get them all in there, so that way I don't miss anything. So my next number is 68, then 70, 68, 70. Okay, I have 73, it looks like, twice in my list. So I'm going to write that twice and cross it off twice. Then I have 80, and then I have 89, and then 90, then I have 92, 95, 99, and 100. Okay. Then I need to mark them off. So remember, if I mark off one on the left, I have to mark off one on the right. One on the left, one on the right. Okay, and we're going to go until we find the middle of our data. Okay, so again, it looks like I have 2 numbers. Okay, I marked off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers on the right. So I have 2 in the middle again. I'm going to add those together and divide it by 2. And this time I get 84.5. So my median is 84.5. And then the last one that we're going to find is our mode. Remember, mode is most often, MO, most often. Okay. So we are trying to figure out what repeats. So in my data, what repeats? The only thing that I see that repeats is 73. So my mode is 73. Okay, now we're going to figure out which measure of center best represents the data and explain. Okay, so do we think more of the numbers are closer to 100? Do we think more of them are closer to 49? And then which number do we think represents that center the best? Okay, so in between those 2 numbers. So remember, 49 is the low end, 100 is the high end. Okay, so to me, I would probably say that 81.5, that's the mean, represents the numbers the best, just because I think 84.5 is a little too close to 100 and 73 is too close to that 49. So whatever you need in order to explain that to me, that's great. I just want you to be able to back up your answer with why you think that is the best measure of center. A last thing we're going to talk about today is our outlier. So the outlier is a data value that is much greater or much less than the other values in the data set. It is the data value that is far removed, so something that doesn't look like it fits. Okay, it can skew the data very much in our measures of tendency, okay, our central tendency. So that's the mean, median, and mode. So in example 2, do you think there was an outlier? So let's go back to example 2. Let's look at all of the numbers that we started with. Do you think anything in there doesn't fit with the rest? It's a little too far in one direction or the other. Okay, so there is actually an outlier, and it is 49. 49 is a lot lower than the other numbers in the data, so it is actually skewing all of the data to be a little less than what the central tendencies should be. So what we're going to do is remove that outlier from example number 2 and find those central tendencies again. So we're going to remove 49 from this set of data. Okay, and we are going to find those numbers again. So what I'm going to do is add all of those numbers together. Okay, so I'm going to add 89 plus 80 plus 100 plus 90. Remember, I just skipped over that 49. I don't want it in there anymore. Plus 68 plus 70 plus 73 plus 99 plus 95 plus 73. And then I'm going to divide that. This time I only have 11 terms, so my mean is now 84.5. Okay, so before it was 81, now it's 84.5. Okay, the cool thing about your median for this one is you can just cross that off in this list. And then now you're going to figure out what is the middle. Okay, so we cross off one on the left, one on the right, one on the left, one on the right. Okay, and this time we only have one number left. So this time my median is 89. Remember, mode is what occurs most often. So that one didn't change at all. That 49 doesn't affect my mode because it was not one of the numbers most often. It was not my mode. So mode is still 73. And the last thing we're going to talk about is one possible explanation for the outlier. So why do you think there might be a 49% on a math test when other people did not score in the 40s? Okay, so think about, it might be because they didn't do their homework. It might be because they didn't study for a test. Okay, lots of different options of why that outlier might exist. So just think about that as you proceed. Okay, you guys, your homework or your assignment is on Clever. You guys just have a few questions. So make sure that you are asking any questions that you have about these problems, mean, median, and mode, and outlier. Tomorrow you guys will have another video on range, and we will go over those questions as well. Bye, guys.